Hello. I I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe you haven't seen me in a while. This is me, Tamara Childs, wanting to talk a little bit about the eclipse season. I feel like this is a really great time to get a bigger picture of your life because you're going to find yourself zooming through some corridors of change. And I always like to say that eclipse season is a who moved my food dish moment where your emotional self feels rattled and feels unsettled, feels possibly uneasy, feels maybe excited, depending on how you process that in your nervous system. Um, we are in the Virgo and Pisces axis, and this is a lot to do with um, health, physical health and mental health. And as we move into this particular lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is in the middle degrees of, I think it's 15 degrees, I don't have that right in front of me, of Pisces, you're gonna, Pisces is a very emotionally evocative sign. So you may be feeling, depending on if you have planets in Pisces yourself, depending on where you have Pisces in your chart, you may not have planets, but you will have Pisces somewhere in your chart. You will be feeling a sort of a swell of energy, um, and all of the issues of Pisces come up. Spiritual connection, um, not feeling connected, depression, anxiety, feeling other people's feelings, having difficulty with boundaries at times, feeling the bleed through, feeling that you're too merged with issues in the world that are distressing you, people who are disenfranchised in the world that we have wars going on. There's a lot of pain and suffering that Pisces energy in particular is tuned into, and the North Node has been in Pisces for quite some time here. We're in this, you know, eclipse cycle where we are wanting to let go of a sort of identity or attachment or stories around suffering, sacrifice, self-sacrifice, um, yeah, self-sabotage, um, and it's just sort of this general feeling in the collective of victimization, where we are individually victimized, how we tap into being victimized in our lives through our own understanding of what life is and what we get to have. And then when we look out at the landscape and see other people playing that out. We see the haves and the have-nots is a big Piscean thing. So this eclipse on the 7th is going to be, um, well, let me just backtrack. So the new moon in Virgo highlights all things like what are our health routines, what is healthy for us. And as we move into this lunar eclipse on Sunday, on the 7th, everything's coming up for us around are we being healthy, especially in the realm of mental health? Are we taking care of our boundaries in such a way through routines? Because we're in that solar cycle of Virgo, which tells us the way to be healthy is through routine. The way to be healthy is through analyzing where things aren't healthy and then putting it on the calendar. But Pisces itself is not about calendars. It's just about this is what I feel. So we're being brought through this process this entire month of September of what's healthy, what's not healthy, who's not healthy, what activities are healthy, and which ones are not. Meanwhile, you're feeling unsettled because you're used to eclipse season. It happens twice a year, even if you're not conscious of it and are not into the astrology piece. But I find astrology is very helpful because it just shows us the cycles that are already pulsing through the collective and individually, affecting us. And everything's about cycles and growth. Um, this is also a time when we're completing, with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, we're completing um, a discipline and a hard look at all of these issues of, giving ourselves away, self-sacrifice, where we put our energy that's not good for us, that we looked at about 28 to 30 years ago. So if you can remember back to that space, you are working on those issues at a higher level and about to finish them by February. So the 29th degree of Saturn is a little bit of a crisis energy, crisis in consciousness, a crisis of um, like, we've got to figure this out. So you may notice in the next couple of weeks around this lunar eclipse, in the first couple of weeks here of September, that there's there's this finality of issues that you're dealing with around these topics of physical and or mental health, spiritual health, feeling like they're patterns you can never resolve or get rid of. Oh my God, here it comes again. All of that stuff actually is going to resolve. And you're going to find yourself looking, especially early next year, at a really new landscape. And what's hard about this is you don't get the benefit until after you've taken the exam. It's like you get the grade a little bit later. And right now we're just in that final push of studying what Saturn and Pisces wants for us. Now, on the 7th, this lunar eclipse does bestow some kind of a gift. And I'm going to say that it's most likely well, it could be a tangible gift in your life, but it's also a gift of consciousness, a gift of awareness, where you're not repeating the same thing. Like you come up against the same situation, you're like, I've got this one. I'm not going to do that this time. And so I want to give, I pulled some cards for this eclipse. I see that we have the world. The world is about completing a cycle and yeah, just completing a cycle. So just my saying that, start to look at where you're completing a cycle. It also has, I got the Eight of Cups, which has to do with really like on an emotional level. The emotional level is so hard to process because we kind of go in and out of it. We go into our heads trying to figure out what was I feeling and why am I feeling that way and why is this happening? And this is why we keep stirring up things of the past. Pisces is it's an energy that's just it's like the ocean. It's deep, it's unfathomable. It has to do often with very deep issues from our childhood or the past. No matter where you have Pisces in your chart, it may be bringing up just these like ancient patterns in your psyche that you are trying to come to terms with. Like, why do I always feel like life is so tiring? Or why do I feel like I'm a doormat? If you have, especially if you have planets in Pisces. I also got the Seven of Pentacles, which has to do with the patience to understand you're in a growth process. I'm one of those people who always teaches that we are the same as a plant on Earth, even though, we have this thing up here that tells us all of this other meaning. Really we're here to grow branches, grow flowers, grow leaves. And when we stop growing, just like a tree, we start to wither. And so it's really an evolutionary process that you're in. And the more you can just say hello to that accordion of growth, letting go, growth, letting go, the easier life can be for you and the more fulfilling and exciting it can be. Interesting that I also got a Two of Pentacles. And this is just also that sometimes you don't realize the work you do every day to balance everything in your world and balance the issues that are very polarized for you too. Also balance patterns emotionally, the stuff that we've been talking about, these ancient patterns that you've had forever. It appears that you feel like I can never get away from this. When will it be different? Well, this is something that I think is part of the gift of this eclipse is that this constant juggling and polarization that you're going to realize all the work you've been doing to incrementally shift forward and make slightly, it's I call it the 1 degree shift where you look at the same situation, you make a little bit of a better choice and you keep doing it and suddenly you look at yourself and you're like, I'm totally different than I used to be. I have grown, I've changed. I'm in the world. I'm in the world. I've come to a culmination moment because full moons are about culminations. They're about the fruit on the vine being ripe and ready to be picked. You've come somewhere, you're not nowhere, you're doing well, you're okay. Um, I also got the death card, death and rebirth. I'm going to show you the image on this card. These are new cards that I got. I don't usually use cards for readings. I just thought it would be fun right now, and I had gotten these because I was interested in the images. So when we're in a death rebirth place, especially considering that we're finishing up this Saturn and Pisces cycle and have a full moon in Pisces, um, there's a place where you don't know if you're the light or the dark of the moment. You don't know where am I? What am I? And I think that just to have a little faith, Pisces has a lot to do with faith and tap into that you have, you're made of divine fabric and you are not lost and forgotten. You're here right now and it's happening through you, which is actually quite a miracle indeed, if you really look at it that way. I also got the Two of Cups. And I think one of the things that's happening right now, one reason why you may feel like your friend groups are changing, your circumstances and social sphere is changing, is because you are in a new place in your life and needing to connect with all new people who really get you and see you and reflect back to you that they're excited to see you and know you and that you are amazing and that these are, it's the feeling of a soulmate, really. So start to, you may find that your tolerance level for those who don't feel that way is going down. And you're like, no, no, I do not choose this. I choose people at my level. And so that's a really important piece, I think, too. So it was fun to pull out these cards for the eclipse. It's not a usual thing that I do, but I just thought it would be fun. I wanted to also, um, hmm, well, so at the end of in on the 21st, we're going to have a new moon eclipse in Virgo, and that's going to be at 29 degrees. So there's something you're completing, like some like awareness of how you physically orient your life for health. And that's another thing, maybe do another video at that time. But I think a lot of it is about making physical choices that are healthier for you, making choices in how you live your life, how you organize things, structure things, your schedule, and the actual, Pisces is about releasing energetic toxins that cause you to be derailed. from your purpose, your path, and your happiness. And Virgo energy is about looking at physical toxins in the environment, other pollutants in your environment, in food, chemicals, things that are not healthy for you, needing to detox. They're both signs are about detox, but I wanted to offer a couple of tools for moving energy out of your space that does not serve you. And one of those is using a stone called fluorite. I've mentioned this before. It's sort of a purpley um, green color. And this helps very much with removing psychic smog, energetic attachment, when you sponge around and, you go somewhere and you pull in energy that's not real helpful to you, that didn't come from you. You didn't, and you're trying to process it. I always say that energy, that's like trying to put unleaded fuel into your gas tank. It just doesn't really work unless you have a car that's made for. So, this is a great stone for clearing your energy. I'm also going to probably teach a class pretty soon about de-stressing, energy de-stressing techniques. So let me know if you're interested in that. But I also wanted to offer you a couple of Bach flower essences that are great for this time for eclipse season. One of them is walnut. It's kind of hard to see. Anyway, walnut is great for not allowing energies to come into your life that confuse you, that take you off of what you're supposed to be doing and the path that you're on. And the other is chestnut bud. And I haven't really recommended this before, but this is about when you loop and are repeating, like, say you encounter the same kind of situation with someone in your life that's coming at you with an energy that's not something that you really want, but you're engaging it in an old way. Like maybe you're trying to let go of codependence and you're finding yourself, I'm doing it again. Chestnut bud is really great for recognizing when you're in a pattern that doesn't serve, that's not helpful to you, that you want to let go of. I'm going to end it here. Otherwise, I will just blah, 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 talk, talk, talk. So, um, if you are interested in a class in clearing energy that does not belong to you, being free from other people's energy, and de-stressing energetically, do just let me know. You can reach out to me wherever you see this under the video, and I will set you up with details for that class. Um, Yeah, just, one thing about eclipse season is there are things that have already been set in motion through whatever we've done in the past. And so you don't really have to do a lot with eclipse season. You just kind of sit and watch it all unfold. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Where will the tornado land me? Will I have my ruby slippers on? I don't know. But whatever happens, just know that you've likely been doing a great deal of work that is not necessarily recognized by others because it's inner work, it's growth work, it's personal growth work. And we don't live in a world that necessarily celebrates that or even validates it. But I see you and I see what you're doing. And it's very valuable. Um, Yes, it's very valuable work indeed. And it changes the quality of you, it changes the quality of your energy, it changes the quality of your life. So keep at it and enjoy this eclipse season. If I can be helpful in some way, let me know. And if you need a reading, also, I have some limited time on my schedule right now, but I would be happy to set that up with you and just enjoy this eclipse season. Take care.